biggest reason I was out here today to do this was to work on testing the screw-in joints against the carriers. Okay, I've shown these before, but this is going to be a separate standalone video basically. If it's 90 degrees, there's no change. So if you put your torque wrench in and you're cranking down on the nut, it's a direct reading. So if you're going for 100 foot-pounds, you put that in there and do it at 90 degrees and you're looking for 100 foot-pounds. If I'm going for 125 foot-pounds, which is the only reference I have been able to find on a Speedway SPC page, it's at 125 foot-pounds to tighten these down. Now, I played with one earlier, and the MOOG inside the Day Motorsports carrier, I got it up around 75 or something like that, and it did strip basically to the next tooth. And I contacted Day Motorsports about it, and they're like, we've never heard of a torque spec, just, you know, make it good and tight. 75 foot-pounds is definitely good and tight. So you're going to have to use your own judgment with this. I'm testing this. I did spent hours online trying to do some other research and that stuff, that if it does slip and you do want to use the MOOGs, whether or not, and I've got some steel shim here that I may see about playing with, you know, maybe a strip or two of 1 or 2 thousandths steel shim in here will put that in. So I'm going to try that. If I find one that slips, I'm going to try that and see if I can get the torque up to 125. I can't say anything bad about the Day Motorsports part because I had sent out a different version of these before, Speedways I think. A couple of them came back because they stripped. And those stripped pretty easily. I should probably see if I can find them. They might be better to test the shim with. But anyway, I kind of blew right past got off on the 125. But if you got to go through the formula here, you pretty much take the torque setting. If I wanted 100 foot-pounds, it'd end up, this is a 3-inch extension. And if I remember right, I made it, yep, 3 inches from the center of the ball joint to the center of the square hole there for the ratchet. And I did that so that it would be an even number. Had I designed that so that it was like 3 3/16, it would have made the math a bigger pain in the butt. But it's just 3-inch extension. So you take your normal length of the wrench divided by the length with this on, so 1821, 18 divided by 21 times 100, gives you 85.7 foot-pounds. And that's just an example. So if your goal is to shoot for 125, and I realize you guys can't really see that. If you're shooting for 125, my lengths were 14 and a half and 7. Oh, I think maybe I measured 2 different torque wrenches. Anyway, 19 and 22. I came up with 108. So I'll double check this again because, oh, and just as a little note, when you guys are working with torque wrenches for this kind of application, that ring there, that line there, they're there for a reason. When you take this measurement and come from the center of that, you're measuring to that ring, okay? That ring is effectively where you're supposed to grab. That is the middle. See, it's got a finger placement here too, so you're not looking to grab it here, you're not looking to grab it out here, you're looking to get the force in your hand right over the middle of that, okay? So when you want to measure your torque wrench, you're measuring from the center of the drive, okay, to that line. I think I'm going to go with 19 1/4. Anyway, this is a very nice Aimco dial indicator, and this is a very nice, very expensive, for me, torque wrench. I like that a lot. This is a cheap Harbor Freight click torque wrench. Now when you store these things, these spring-loaded ones like this, you definitely want to back all the tension off. You don't want to leave it laying around with the with it still being stretched. And part of the reason why, you know, a lot of people don't know there's a torque setting is because, you know, they just use wrenches like this, you know, and you just make it good and tight. Good and tight, German version. Now when you're doing it, and I've showed this before too, when you're using these, it's clocked at an angle like that, so that, you know, if you get to a point in your swing you can't go any further, you can lift it up and go back and pull again. Okay. When I did this, I did the same thing. I put it at the same angle. Basically, I just copied this end of it and changed it up. Now, as my buddy Dave pointed out in a post recently, because I said I was having these powder coated, he's like, you're going to hit it with a hammer. Yeah, you're going to hit it with a hammer, but the only time you want to hit this thing with a hammer is when you're taking it off. Okay, and it's there for both sides for the same reason, depending on exactly where it needs to be clocked. But when you're installing it, don't hit it with the hammer. There's no way whatsoever to gauge how tight you're getting it. I found the other one. I don't know if this is one of the ones that got sent back from slipping. I thought those were in a separate bag. They probably still are. Anyway, this would be Speedway's equivalent of the AFCO. Okay, now that I'm looking at them all here, the wall thickness between the Speedway and the Day Motorsports, that's the same. The wall thickness. The AFCO definitely has a thicker wall. Since the MOOG was the... If I knew for a fact all the MOOGs tightened down exactly the way I want, I probably wouldn't send the quick steers. Okay, but... Look at that, we're already partially threaded in, and that's how loose it is. Doesn't give me high hopes there. Come on. This is the great quick steer. Less, and you know, probably just enough. If you're using a torque wrench like my good one there, setting this at 90 degrees is a piece of cake. Okay, and then so like I have it set for 103 at 90 degrees. I should set it for I have it set for 120, which I think is going to be close enough. Okay. So I'm going to do it at the 90 degrees. Hopefully my vise will hold. Hopefully my test setup. Oh, jeez. Okay, that's a good one. As long as we're here. This is in line with that, so that's why I was saying it's easy to do the 90. Because it's already at 90 and there's no ratchet for it to shift around with. I've got to be able to pull it hard enough to make it move again, or I at least need to get to the 120. Since I'm at 90 degrees, 120 is what I want to see before it feels like there's any moving. And this has a dial in it, that little extra needle. Okay, it will push that. Okay, and I got it to 120. Let's take it a little further and see. Oh, yeah, it started turning a little bit as soon as I got to the 120 basically. So I'm going to say the two are pretty accurate. Okay, since I have another wrench, let's see if the dead blow. Oh. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's Wow. Anyway, so that is the quick steer. That's cool. I like that. You know, and actually, it might be best if I test this one with the fixed gauge, which with the fixed with this torque wrench, because that way if it does I could see roughly at what torque it breaks loose at. Okay. Okay, there is 70. And 70 was the peak. Okay. 70 was the peak. Now, 70 is pretty tight, but if you think about, you know, you're going to be just beating the hell out of this over, you know, the years, I'm not sure I would be too happy with it only going to 70. So, actually, what we're going to do here, too, is I'm going to take the calipers and we're going to do a little bit of quick measuring of the two ball joints, see how much of a difference there is in the diameter, and if that might give me a target for the shim stock. You know, because like I don't think I'm going to need a 20 thou thick shim. You know, maybe 3 or 4. But let's see here. So this was the good one, 1.84. 1.835. So there's a 5/1000ths difference in that. And it went into the same hole, so this hole didn't change. So it is a discrepancy between the two ball joints. Alright, I do have another one. This is original grade, whatever that is, and it's a 772. Yeah, it's another different body style. It's got the thicker flange for the wrench flats here. 1.827. So this one's even smaller than the other one. Oh, yeah. See that? Wow. That's obviously that's not going to work. Man. Oh. Well, I only have the one, and who knows? Maybe. Oh well, let's see. I could measure the insides of these. Okay. That's definitely smaller, and it's got similar wiggle like the other ones. How far that'll tighten down on the AFCO, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll test it. I don't know. 1.826. Yeah, basically 1.826 again. 1.825. So these are pretty darn consistent. Maybe it's bigger now because it got threads pulled through it. 1.832. Now I wish I would have measured it before I tested it. Okay, so that's the Day Motorsports. Wow. That was the Speedway. And then I already did the AFCO. Try it from both sides. Because the threads only go down about 3/4 of the way. Okay, so nope, it slips in from both sides. I guess it's my inability to do this correctly. 1.827. Oh, now I'm seeing 1.833, 1.829, 1.829. So that explains why these grab, this one doesn't. 1.832. Got this from Inco, back when Inco existed. It has now been usurped by MSC. MSC is a decent company. Supposedly, if you got grandfathered in, which I did, you still get Inco pricing. I'll tell you what, it's never been that impressive. I really liked Inco. I know a lot of people do. MSC, the prices aren't great enough like they used to. Inco I'd go to all the time, okay? MSC, I go to it now and then if I really, really have to. But anyway, that's what it is. A 6x12 steel. Maybe that number crosses in MSC now? I don't know. I've had this stuff for years. I mean, you guys probably remember how long it's been since Inco was around. So I'm almost kind of thinking about doing it with the 4 thou. And when I start cutting, I'm going to start cutting off this end so I can keep the label over there as long as I can. And basically I'm just going to take the tin snips and I'm going to cut off about a 1/2 inch. And then I'll probably cut that in thirds, because that ought to be enough to, you know, go in there and bend the edges over like tabs to hold it in there. So yeah, I got a TV tray over here since I don't have enough bench space since my shop is so tiny. Randy Richards in the shop. Mark it at a 1/2 inch and then pretend I can friggin' see it. Yeah, I can kind of see the other. Nice. Came with a cap too, keeps me from drawing blood. Okay, that ought to be long enough, so I'll make them 1.5 inches. If I have to, I can use 2 per to get it locked down. And I wasn't planning on pre-installing the thing, so if this works, I'm probably just going to cut the shim stock and include the shim stock, and so that way if guys feel they need the shim stock, they can add it themselves. Can I put it on the inside and it stays? Oh, yeah, I could actually kind of roll it over. So let's see, the Moog is the one that slipped. So maybe I should put that one in. I think I'm going to wish that I had the socket. I think that's what's going to happen here. So that's already tighter than the quick steer joint in these threads. But pull out a bit and see what we get up to. Oh, it maxed at 100 and I can feel that it's slipping. But that's encouraging. That definitely took it up higher. I think I'll put a second one in. We'll see if we can get it screwed in with a second one. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and run this up a little further and see until it just actually does slip. Oh yeah. Okay, there we go. And that went up to about 90. That didn't even hit the 100. You know, the red line right at like 99. So plus 2 by doing that, I'm able to unthread it by hand instead of having to hit it with a hammer to unlock it. So okay. That's what it did. Since I'm going to be sending out new shims for everybody, I'm going to start with, you know, 2 shims here. I'll just go ahead and hang that on the other side there. I'll start them 180 out. We'll see. Hard to say, but if I can do 2 with this way, then I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah, and they've pulled together, but then they try to spread apart. I got them spread not quite 90. All right, I was able to hold that one. Yeah, they're a good 90 degrees apart. Okay, let's try it again. Got the red needle. Oh, 119. 119, and it was spinning a bit there. So, do I go with a slightly thicker? Maybe I should try some 5/1000 shims. Harbor Freight scissors. Since these are used ones, I'm not going to use them again. I just want to see here how. Oh yeah, look at that, like butter. Okay. Well, this is the 5/1000 thick. It's right at 12 inches, so I will take it to 11.5. I don't think it's stainless steel. Oh no, it's not. Yay! Do I want to try 1, or do I want to go ahead? Since it took 2 of the 4s, do I just want to go ahead and do 2 of the 4s? 2 of the 5s. I'm leaving a little hanging out the bottom. I guess I don't need to. As long as it's flush. Give me a little bit more to bend over there. Time here. Let's see if we can get the MOOG to lock up at least the 120 without slipping. Okay, pretty snug. All right. Oh yeah, red indicator. Oh man, man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Oh, I'm at 123. And that's tight. So obviously, okay, I made the 120. Wait. I was shooting for 120. Oh, okay, 140. I made it to 140. So I will be putting 2, 4. I'll be putting a strip of the 5/1000 in there to take care of that, make that work. And this is a fairly decent blade, okay? But let's see here if... Okay. I know you couldn't hardly see that, but what I was basically hoping to demonstrate there was that it could be, a knife can cut off the extra. And when the boots go on, they're going to push up against the carrier, but not necessarily lock onto the carrier because, or the ball joint, because and it looks here like you could actually just put that on without trimming these off. Since we're here, careful, because shims this thin will, slice you like a knife. So the shims are in there, and you won't have to worry about that until it's time to change these ball joints. The quick steer is going to go in and tighten down anyway. So it's just whether or not you got a strong hankering for using the MOOG or not. These 772 ball joints are used in so many applications. And I have to think that this issue is not an uncommon issue, if you know what I mean. Because I was reading online, and basically the most common solution was to just put some tack welds on here to hold it. Get it good and tight kind of thing. If it started to slip like you knew it was going to strip, leave it at that point and then hit it with the tack welds. Well, I kind of doubt many people have welders. And even if they do, a lot of welder owners don't know how to use them very well. So the shims, I did come across one reference on Jalopy Journal, and it talked about putting shims in. And I thought, oh, that's what I had in mind already, was whether or not that would work. So basically seeing that post was a validation that the idea should work. Now I've proven the idea works. And realistically, if you need shim stock to put these in, a lot of people have, the feeler gauge sets. Yeah, and I still have one or two more. But it goes down to 2,000, 3,000. Looks like there's a 5, not seeing a 4 in there, and then 6. So the reality is you could pick up a cheap set of these or two and, take that out of there, take that 5, cut it in half, put 2 of them in there, or put a 7 or 8 or whatever. And you could use this for your shim stock in a pinch kind of thing. If it's your only set, you may not want to use it, but otherwise you might just, grab I think that was in the Jalopy Journal too, was just grab one of these and throw it in, using it as shim stock. I happen to have shim stock. Most of what I read were guys having problems with these slipping, being too loose in factory control arms. But if the shimming works here, it should work in a factory arm without any problem too. So 140, that's way over. Maybe not way over, but it's definitely over the 125 recommended. And so that, to me, proves that this is definitely a viable option.